As tensions escalate in the Middle East, the conflict involving the United States, Israel, and Iran is sending shockwaves through the global economy. Oil prices have surged above $100 per barrel amid fears of supply disruptions, raising fresh concerns about inflation, energy costs, and economic stability worldwide. But what does this mean for Nigeria? Will higher oil prices provide fiscal relief, or could rising fuel costs and inflation undermine the reform agenda? Today, we break down the global ripple effects and examine what this war could mean for Nigeria's economy, businesses, and household. My guest is a partner with SPM Professionals, Paul Alaje. Thank you so much for joining us at this time.
Thank you so very much for having me. A beautiful afternoon to you.
Beautiful afternoon to you too. Now, the escalating tension involving the United States, Israel, and Iran are already affecting global energy markets. Now, from an economic standpoint, how vulnerable is Nigeria to this geopolitical shock?
Thank you so much. Nigeria is partially vulnerable. We're vulnerable in terms of energy costs, energy prices. That will, of course, affect Nigeria's inflation. So we are faced with inflation risk. Cost of transport for homes is expected to spike further next week if this tension does not reduce. The Strait of Hormuz plays critical role for movement of ship around the Middle East, especially the Persian Gulf and the Dubai parts, that's the UAE, United Arab Emirates, and also talking about Saudi Arabia. All of these have since been closed or partially closed as a result of the ongoing confrontation or escalation that we have seen around the Middle East. So the implication, one, is that global oil prices in terms of crude has surged significantly around $100. Just yesterday, the new supreme leader of Iran had said that he would not mind. The global oil prices may go as high as $200. What that means will be that if the care is not taken by April, my initial prediction was 1,000 to 1,000 Naira PMS. If the escalation goes beyond certain period, that before April, Nigeria will buy. Today, Nigeria is buying at 1,001 to 1,003, some places 1,004. But if you see global oil price surge to about $140 per barrel, Nigeria will be paying for PMS about 2,000 Naira per barrel. This is not because of our local economy. These are purely externalities that is having its implication on our economy. And of course, Bureau of Statistics will also be reporting what inflation will be. Recall that inflation, as we speak, is about 15.1% year on year. Inflation, of course, will take a new turn if this persists because cost of PMS affects everything. The new turn of this conflict is that gas supply is now being affected. When gas supply is affected, you know what the implication will be for those using gas, LNG, and also for industrial purpose. If these two are affected, then it has implication. The third implication is if it extends to medium term. When it started affecting manufactured goods, manufacturers rely heavily on diesel. Diesel as of yesterday was 1,500 at retail point. Some places are selling at 1,420. Now, this may also increase to over 2,000. What that means is that cost of production around the world would increase. This will induce global inflation, and when global inflation increases, and we had also seen supply reduce because 20% of global production, of course, is from that region. You saw the kind of attack we have seen in the Middle East seems to be unprecedented, where the Middle East countries are also having concern among themselves. You can see Iran attacking the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Oman, Bahrain, and so on and so forth. Oil facilities have also directly been affected. All of these will mean reduced supply in the sector. And when all of these happen, clearly speaking, you will see that it will have tremendous negative impact on global output. Where demand remains constant, demand remains the same. For Nigeria and the rest of Africa, what is the implication to us? One is we may have to pay more to have diesel. What that means to the poorest of the poorest that needs to go on the vehicle, on the bus, on keke, on Okada, is that they may have to pay more. So that initial prediction of having 1,000 is no longer news, it's above 1,000. The new prediction is that before the same April, before the end of same April, we might be looking at 2,000 naira per liter of PMS. If that is now the key thing here is that is Nigeria benefiting from this war because it's also part of the effect. The first effect is that, yes, we stand position like Russia is benefiting right now. Nigeria can also benefit. And
Okay,
indeed,
Paul.
the same for Angola, the same for Algeria, the same for Saudi Arabia. We all can benefit.
All right,
but do
Paul.
we have the fundamentals correctly?
All right, so let me ask this question now. It's sort of a layman kind of question because I already know the answer. But at the fuel station, you hear people ask questions like, what is our business with the Iran-US war? Why is oil, we have oil in Nigeria, why is oil, fuel prices going up high? Can you explain this development in layman's terms?
We have all businesses with the war that is going on between America, Israel, and Iran because the world is connected. You see, crude is a global product. It is not a Nigerian product. We have it truly, but it's sold at global markets. Many will think, oh, but Dangote is buying in Naira. Yes, Dangote is using the medium of exchange for Dangote is the Naira. But the price he's buying is whatever the global oil price says, whether he's buying Bonny Light or he's buying Brent crude or whatever he's buying. So the fact that input price has increased, that's the cost of crude, it will certainly affect the gantry price that Dangote pays. So the what is going on in Iran is affecting us. The only way it will not affect us is if we have more in excess. 2, if we have more than one refinery that have enough stock. 3, if Nigeria has prepared for the next kind of war that may happen. And if I have time, it's important to quickly refresh the praise of to refresh the minds of our viewers today or those that will be in the future. 2018, it was America versus China in trade war because of import shortage. That's the balance of payments deficit to America by $500 billion. As alleged by authorities in the US. In 2020, it was COVID that locked all of us down, and that affected global supply and global demand. We saw shocks on both sides. In 2022, it was Russia versus Ukraine. We saw the invasion. Part of it is still ongoing as we speak. That affected the Black Sea. The question will be, if we had Russia and Ukraine fought, what is the business of Angola, Nigeria, Kenya, and all of those? We have a lot because we solely rely on these countries for some of our transactions, for crude movement, and it's not just Nigeria, it's the rest of the world. But some countries have protected themselves to a large extent by having new partners. In 2024, 2023, 2024, it was Hamas versus Israel. Now 2026, 2 years after. What I've mentioned to you is it seems to be two years interval that we have one crisis, one negative externality or the other. Nigeria and the rest of Africa should therefore prepare for 2028. What may come? It's better we prepare and nothing comes than for us not to prepare at all and everything came again or everything shows up again. I beg your pardon. The question will be, why didn't we prepare? By the way of preparation. So people should know that the impact will continue to radiate because if crude oil price surge, why can't people say if a country discover oil and the price of oil crashes to $10, the PMS in Nigeria will also go significantly low to say about 300 or 400 or say about 300 or 200 naira. At that point, nobody will say, oh, it was another country that found oil and the price crashed. The truth is that anything that adjusts or that manipulates or affects crude prices will certainly affect those that are consuming. So the earlier we find more on our soil, refine it on our soil, and sell to ourselves, that will mitigate the cost of crude for us and the cost of PMS. So it's going to affect the rich with their flights because they use Jet A1. It will affect the poor because they use kerosene. It will affect industry because they use diesel. It will affect the middle class and all of us because we make use of PMS in our vehicles, on the keke that carry us, on Okada, for our barbering salon with our Pass My Babe neighbor generator, for our hairdressing salon. All of us are equally affected, but the impact certainly will not be the same.
All right, so earlier you were talking about how Nigeria can gain from this. Can you further expatiate on that?
Oh, good. So a number of benefits to us. The first benefit is that Nigeria is oil-producing country like Angola, and I think we are topping Africa now, like Angola, Algeria, and Egypt. So if we are able to reduce the impact of oil theft that we have within the oil-producing region, it's more money to us because now output multiplied by price. If the price goes up, even if output is the same, it's more revenue to Nigerian government. and this government is the federation, the federal, the state, and local government. So now this investment is what needs to trickle down to the people. But I have made suggestion, I will make suggestion again, that if this persists, it will be as though government is making money and the population is impoverished, because it's difficult for many people who are not economic savvy to know that it is not Nigerian government that jack up price. There's no way people want to understand that. Somebody on minimum wage of 70,000, but has to go to work spending 60,000 a month, or somebody on 100,000 has to spend about 80,000 a month just on transport because of the new increase. How do we explain to such person that is not government? That is why I've advised government, get more from what is stolen. Save it, sell to Dangote at what the price was before the war, and let that price be maintained till after we are done with the war. Dangote is a major refinery in Nigeria now. We cannot deny it. If we give Dangote at that price, it can still have the same output just for Nigerian markets. It can increase for those that is exporting. So that what is ubiquitous to all of us, we can reduce the impact, especially on PMS that seems to unite the rich, the poor, the deprived, everybody together. My honest suggestion to the Nigerian government is to think about this really very deeply.
All right, so Nigeria earns revenue from oil export, but imports most of its refined fuel. In practical terms, does the Middle East conflict put Nigeria in a net gain or a net pain position?
Okay, so Nigeria is in a position right now. I doubt if we are importing most of our PMS. I think right now we are producing locally. I saw new agreement between Dangote and the NNPCL. New conversation, I beg your pardon, where NNPCL agrees that Dangote is producing most of the things that we have. And I think the earlier we understand this, the better for us. So it is easier. It is easier if we focus on Dangote. That's the only refinery we have. Yes, we focus on Dangote, it's better option than for us to import.
If we focus on Dangote, is that not a monopoly? Where does this put Nigeria?
I agree, sir. Between monopoly and absolute importation, which is better? A reasonable economics. Between having a monopoly and having pure import. Imports now, look at our exchange rates. When this war escalated, we saw Naira that has rebounded, that have gained to 320. 1,320. It went to 1,420, 100 Naira within 48 hours. So it is better we manage it locally. I have never supported monopoly, but there is a monopoly of necessity. Right now, what we have, sir, imagine Dangote is not in the picture. I tell you, as you're in the studio, most of your colleagues will be at the filling station, queuing up, waiting for their turns. But because we have Dangote, we know that what we need to do is to have more refineries that are functional. I've advised government over and again, not this administration alone, but previous one, give those 4 refineries, not as JVs, give those refineries to private sector, have shares in the company, not more than 30%. The goal of private sector will be to maximize revenue, to maximize profit. In maximizing profit, they know that there must be output. That's private sector. When output comes, it's going to add to what Dangote is doing. Then we can have supply side that meets up with the demand side. At that time, we cannot say that Dangote is having a monopoly anymore. So as a government and as a people of Nigeria, we have a responsibility to ensure that what we have, the 4 moribund refineries, are revived and given to those who want to run with it, do business with it, then allow those who can do business with it also compete in the market fairly with whosoever is running its own refinery right now.
All right, so if oil spikes significantly, could this improve Nigeria's fiscal balance or help government revenues in the short term?
I think significantly to improve government revenue. The ongoing war will improve government revenue significantly, but also note that it's going to increase government cost very soon. If you have this conversation in the next 2 or 3 weeks, and if this argument is going on, you see that there will be a high chance that even though government make more money, it will also want to submit for supplementary budget around Q3 or if not before. But before the end of Q3 or Q4, you see Nigerian government submitting. If this war escalates, and it's still affecting the key oil-producing areas, I can tell you that Nigerian government balance sheet or books will be clearly affected. And I hope that the impact will not be beyond what we can bear.
Okay, so I'm concerned about the issues with, you mentioned about allowing other players in the private sector to handle our refineries. But what is the place of modular refinery in reducing the prices of fuel?
Well, it depends. It comes to costs. Economics of scale is what larger refinery gains. Whether the economics of scale for modular refinery we gain is another thing entirely, and that is why modular refineries has a key place, but will it also have a place in terms of costs? So we need to match the costs it will come to for modular refineries to what the market is saying right now. If the two can exist and the current cost can accommodate them, then we can say that we have modular refineries. But when you check the impact of all the modular refineries put together, can they provide 20% of market demand? From the last estimate we had early last year, 2025, they cannot provide 20% of the demand for Nigeria. But if we work carefully on the 4 refineries and we get major investors that can invest in the 4 refineries alongside the modular refineries and Dangote refineries, I think to a large extent, Nigerian market will not only be satisfied, we'll also be looking at some part of West African market, or even South Africa may also be looking at getting from the refinery. South Africa does not have one, it does not have refinery. So Nigeria can be the country to send down to the southern part of Africa, especially the country called South Africa.
All right, so in your view, should the government stay the course with reforms, or should the government consider temporary interventions if fuel prices surge?
Well, a number of things. I think those that are benefiting from this should be ready to also provide succor first. Money being paid to civil servants, there is need for immediate review. I have suggested about 100,000 naira to civil servants for this package. Government may have intervention fund, maybe 30,000, maybe 10,000, maybe 5,000 as the case may be, but between 5 to 10,000 should go to some persons, the extreme vulnerable. This is not going to be a permanent arrangement, money that will keep there like we have seen in some administrations. I've critically criticized giving money directly to people, but in times of war, and it's biting either Nigerian Labour Congress come to the fore to ask government for relative review because of what has happened, or government before Labour start talking, find a way to talk to to engage labor. But beyond labor market, we also need to create special funds for businesses that we need to grapple with this at single-digit interest rates so that businesses can participate in that arrangement. And I think that they can use the existing commercial arrangement for such to happen. This is what the Nigerian government needs to start thinking about before it starts having implications, knowing fully well that this is a pre-election year, and a pre-election year, you know that all of these have major implications, so that people don't unnecessarily consider the influence on government directly without, of course, looking at what this would be on the entire market or population. So for me, I think government needs to come up with design for those who are working directly for government called civil servants, also for those in the private sector, in the market. Government we need to look at all of this, but maybe not exactly today, but as the prices continue to surge, as the prices continue to increase, I tell you, government will certainly need to take this decision already. And when I say government, I mean local government, I mean state government, and I also mean the federal government of Nigeria.
All right, partner at SPM Professionals, Paul Alaje, thank you so much for availing us your time to have this discussion. Thank you so much.
It's nice to be with you today. Thank you so much for having me.